Man. Oh my goodness, your girl is back. Black Girl Interrupted is back. Y'all done brought your girl out of retirement. I was done. I was done doing this podcast, but I had somebody tell me yesterday I got the gift of gab and I need to step back into what I'm good at doing, and that's this. Let me say this. Today has been one hell of a day for me. But I don't want to talk about that, right? I want to talk about it, but then let me just say this. Let me say this for another show, because what I want to do is I want to jump into the meat and potatoes of tonight's conversation and what has brought me back front and center. But anybody that has never tuned into a Black Girl Interrupted podcast, anyone knows that I always, 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 always have to do a mental health check-in on this beautiful Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. But I have to do a mental health check-in. And before I do that, I just want to say I love you guys. I do want to first say it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you are struggling, please don't sit alone. Please don't stay by yourself. Reach out. I had to do it myself. But before we jump into tonight's conversation, y'all know I got to always play something encouraging, inspiring, and inspirational. So here we go. And after that, we're jumping right into tonight's conversation.
If the lion is the king of the jungle, how can he be the king of the jungle? If he's not the biggest, the elephant is probably one of the biggest. He can't be the fastest because that's a cheetah. He can't be the smartest. So he's not the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. So how does a lion become the king of the jungle? His mentality. That's the only difference of a lion and an elephant. When a lion walks up and sees an elephant, he thinks lunch. An elephant thinks run. And it's all mentality. Because when a male lion walks up, he may be outnumbered by a pack of hyenas, but I'm king of my jungle because of my mentality.
What happens when you're a gazelle and you're not being pushed, you're not being prodded, you're not given a reward, nobody's encouraging you? What happens when you're a gazelle and the lion's not chasing you anymore? You stop running. But what happens when you're a lion? When you are a lion, it does not make a difference. You realize that if your family is going to eat, that if that pack of lions is to survive, then you gotta go hunt. A part of being a beast just ain't eating a gazelle. A part of being a beast is the hunts. It's the hunt that they're excited about. They like to see the gazelles run. Then boom, they take off. Because real lions like to hunt. They love the process just as much as they love the prize. And some of y'all just want to score. You don't like the process. You're not in love with the process.
A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. They don't just live to catch it. It's the whole process. When you are a true hunter, you don't go by time, you go by the gazelle. When you are a true hunter, you hunt until you get a gazelle, and you don't stop until you get one. And then you get another, and then you get another, and you get another.
If you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do, be what you say you're gonna be, you're gonna have to lion me out. You a gazelle, you gonna come up short. You a gazelle, you gonna have an average experience. You a student, I need you in lion mode. You an entrepreneur, I need you in lion mode. You trying to lose weight, lion mode. You can't do nothing significant in gazelle mode, nothing. Nothing impressive happens in gazelle mode. Nothing happens in run mode, give up mode, quit mode, scared mode, fearful mode, nothing happens. Everything happens in lion mode like I'm coming to get you.
Man, so that is always gonna be my motivation, is for me to be the lion and for me to keep going. So before I jump into tonight's episode, let me say this. I ask that everyone stay respectful. I ask, if we are going to have logical conversations, that you stay respectful of people's opinions and comments. Because tonight's conversation is very sensitive. It's very, very, very sensitive. It could be very triggering to others. So I do ask that you stay respectful with your comments, with your opinions, because there are going to be some. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, but there are going to be some opinions. As many of you know, I have been covering the Tyree Nichols trial. The verdict came down today. Tonight's show is justice or no justice. Let me take a deep breath. Let me pray over this conversation, because again, this is very sensitive, not only to me, but also to others. Maybe not the whole Black community, maybe the Black community, maybe the white community, the Latino community, maybe everybody's upset. But I know I could tell you right now, I'm very disappointed in the way justice was carried out for Tyree Nichols. Approximately 2 years and 5 months ago today, Tyree Nichols was brutally beaten, savagely brutalized at the hands of 7 Memphis police officers. When the story first broke, I was speechless. And then I said, not again, not another one. Let me say this. Tyree Nichols is our brother, our cousin, our friend, a nephew. He's one of ours. And to sit, and I watched the video when they first released the body cam footage, and when I say I was absolutely sick in my stomach, to sit and watch 7, not 1, not 2, 7 Black police officers savagely beat 27-year-old Tyree Nichols over a traffic stop. I remember back in the day, traffic stops were you got a ticket, a warning, and you were on your way. In this temperature of the climate right now, a traffic stop can warrant a brutal beating or death. Black men and Black women, Black boys and Black girls are no longer going home. They're either going to jail or they're going in bags. What I'm about to say will rattle some cages. Unfortunately, y'all, we don't have the complexion for the protection. And I'm going to be the first to say that. Some of you may agree, some of you may not. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, there was a miscarriage in justice. I'm really trying to take my emotions out of this. Because right now I feel anger, I feel rage. And in order for me to be able to have logical conversations, I need to have a level head. So I'm going to pause in between our conversation because, again, I want to have a level head so we can have a logical conversation. But there was absolutely today a miscarriage of justice on the state side. Let me say that. Let me clarify that. On the state side. Because many of you that have followed me as I've followed the trial in this case of Tyree Nichols, very passionate about this because this hits home. Because I have a black son, I have two black daughters, I have black nieces, black nephews, black cousins, black aunts, black uncles, and this could have been one of them. What happened to Tyree Nichols should not have happened. I've seen comments where they say, oh, he should have complied. Philando Castile complied, and what happened? He was still killed. You have Dylan Roof, I believe that's his name, the young man that went and shot up the church, was taken to Burger King before he was taken to jail. Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, who was, during his trial, was taking pictures with the judge. And he went and killed 3 people. For what? Oh, that's right. He was out there trying to help us, right? Okay. I look at the countless black men, black women, black boys, and black girls that are murdered by rogue police, no matter the color. I'm really still trying to process all of this. Because the way Tyree Nichols was beaten, tased, pepper sprayed, they even laughed and took pictures of him, and they were shared 11 times. And these police officers were still found not guilty on the state side. So let me clarify that. Because they were found guilty on the federal side. Did I want justice on both sides of the coin? Absolutely. I wanted them found guilty on the state and federal. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. Unfortunately, Tyree Nichols' mother and father go home overwhelmed, defeated. They were hurt all over again. In my heart, when the trial started, and I didn't see physically, but from my intel, it was a predominantly white jury that was selected out of East Chattanooga, I believe. I knew it was not going to be a fair trial. I was praying for maybe a mistrial, something. No mistrial. They all unanimously voted not guilty. And again, I watched the video. One time was all I could tolerate. One time I watched the video. And to see Tyree Nichols and to hear him, this young man was mere feet away from the front door of his home. Calling for his mom. And mama couldn't save him. Whew. To the mother of Tyree Nichols, when one mother grieves, we all grieve. When there's a miscarriage of justice in our community, we stand with you. We walk with you. The same way we do with the other Black mothers and fathers that have lost their children unjustly at the hands of police officers who get a slap on the wrist, who are found not guilty, even though the footage or the proof is in front of you, and you still say, not guilty. I'm not showing the video tonight. If you want to see the video of Tyree Nichols, please Google it on your own time. I'm not reliving that moment that we shared 2 years ago. I'm not doing it. But again, there was absolutely a miscarriage of justice today. Why was justice not served for Tyree Nichols? Why? And we watched them stomp on him. We watched them handcuff him, and they still beat him. They waited, if I'm not mistaken, 9 minutes before they called for an ambulance. They waited. They laughed. They joked while Tyree Nichols lay there dying. It was funny to them. This was hilarious that you beat, brutalize over a traffic stop. Y'all had his license plate number. Y'all could have went and got him. Again, in this temperature of the climate, Black people are afraid of the police right now. We are deathly afraid. We're afraid to stop because we don't know. Are we going home? Or are we going to a cemetery? We don't know. PTSD is real. And to see these police officers, again, let me repeat, they were found not guilty on the state side. So they are still facing, let me put this out here right now. They are still facing federal time because they were all found guilty of federal charges. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Mr. Haley, if he's sentenced, he's looking at life in prison. The other ones are looking at 20 years with no parole. Anyone familiar with the law, you know federal is day for day. It's day for day. No good time, no time off. You get 20 years, my love, you do 20 years. You get 100 years in federal, you're doing 100 years. They're not cutting and shaving. This is not county. This ain't state jail. My love, federal, you're doing day for day. I see some more people are coming in. So y'all welcome back to Black Girl Interrupted. Y'all know it's your girl Ash bringing y'all another beautiful episode tonight. Tonight we are talking about the Tyree Nichols verdict. I hear his name. I see his face. I hear a broken mother, a devastated father, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, a family that has had the Band-Aid ripped right back off the sore. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the case of Tyree Nichols, let me show you where we are.
Jury, having found that this is a
Wrong video, y'all. Here we go. Here we go.
How did we get here? The path to this day comes some 2 years and 5 months after Nichols was initially stopped in Hickory Hill. Since then, it has been a long and tedious process for those involved, and for Nichols' family, a painful and emotional time. Here's WRG's Shay Arthur with a look at how we got here.
Where they are.
For the last 8 days, we've taken you inside a Shelby County courtroom. Sometimes they were tense.
He got out of the car and he grabbed a guy that he thought had done something wrong.
Other times, emotional testimony. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy spoke to us about his team of attorneys on the case.
They've worked very hard for a long time in preparing this case. They were very thoroughly prepared, and they fought really hard to get justice for Tyree Nichols.
What's been discussed with so many closely watching goes back to this intersection, January 7th, 2023, at Ross and Rains Roads, where police claim they initially attempted to stop Tyree Nichols and ultimately ended in this quiet neighborhood about half a mile down the street, which we later learned from watching MPD body and dash camera video was also where Nichols was repeatedly punched and kicked not far from his family home. 3 days later, he died at the hospital. 10 days later, 5 Memphis police officers are fired, including the 3 who have been on trial: Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith. The 2 others have reached other agreements on their charges. On January 26th, the group was indicted in state court. Then the next day, the shocking video of Nichols' arrest is released to the public. On January 28th, the Scorpion Unit was deactivated. That was a specialized team these officers were part of. It was supposed to target criminal hotspots. Months later, on September 12, 2023, the men were federally indicted. And more than a year later, after weeks of a federal trial, on October 2nd, 2024, a federal jury reached a mixed verdict. Then fast forward, April 28th, 2025, the state trial for Smith, Bean, and Haley begins. For your news leader, Shay Arthur.
So let me correct myself. There were 5, but I do include the white officer who was not charged, who said, "I hope they stomp his ass." So that's still 6, not 7. So my apologies, y'all. Let me correct myself. But I feel like that other officer should have been on trial too, because how dare you? How dare you open your mouth and say, "I hope they stomp his ass"? Let me say this, because I made a post yesterday on Facebook. And I said, you better be mindful with how you treat people on this side, because my love, you have to pass God on the way out. So to that officer who was not held accountable for anything, because you incited this by saying, "Oh, I hope they stomp his ass." You knew what they were going to do, and you did nothing to step in to stop. So I pray that on your way out, you have a real nice long conversation with God. So you take that for what it is. Let me just breathe a little bit. Because it just takes me back to when all of this first happened. Tyree Nichols didn't deserve that. Anybody, if you watch the video, maybe you feel differently. I don't know. I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you what to feel. I could express to you how I feel and watching the video and how it made me feel that day and how I still feel about it 2 years later. 2 years and 5 months approximately. I'm appalled. I really wish justice was completely served. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain. Karma don't miss a beat. So again, everything you do on this side, you got to pass God on the way out. You have to account for that. You have to account for what you do on this side. So what those gentlemen did to Tyree Nichols, You will stand before God, my love. God says vengeance will be mine. These men will never be able to sleep peacefully another day in their life. They'll have to move as far away as they can, my love. You may, after your prison sentences, you may have to move out of the country. You may not even make it out of the prison. And that's not me speaking ill. That's me being realistic. Because these 5 officers, you brutalized the man. And now that you are found not guilty on the state side, that's more fuel to the fire for an angry community. Memphis, Tennessee is already a city under siege. With this verdict coming down, I pray that there's no wars. I pray that there's no more bodies dropping. I pray that things are peaceful. Because to tear up the town, it's not going to bring him back. Anybody that knows me, I would have said, come on, let's burn it down. Let's tear it up. But what is that going to do? It's not going to bring Tyree Nichols back. It's not going to bring back Breonna Taylor. It's not going to bring back Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, George Floyd. The list just goes on and on. Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice. It's not going to bring them back. To Tyree Nichols' mother, I hope you sue each and every last one of those police officers. I do. I hope you file wrongful death terminate. I hope you file wrongful death suits against every last one of those officers. I hope you do. I feel like in cases and situations, I feel like the police officer's pension should go to the family. That's just my opinion. Again, everyone's not going to always agree. We can agree to disagree. But I feel like that money should go to the parents or the families of the people that you unjustly took away. For those just tuning in, y'all welcome back to Black Girl Interrupted Podcast. Y'all know it's your favorite girl, Ash, bringing y'all another episode. Tonight we're discussing the Tyree Nichols verdict. How do you feel about it? Because these 5 officers, they were found not guilty on the state side. Again, let me clarify that. They were found not guilty on the state side. The federal sentencing is still pending. No date has been released on when they will be sentenced federally, because they were all found guilty on the federal side. Violation of his civil rights, excessive force, and I forgot what the other few charges were. There were several charges, but I know excessive force was one. I know tampering with evidence, violation of Mr. Nichols' civil rights, and I have to get back with y'all on those other charges. But again, today, May 7th, 2025, 5 Memphis police officers were found not guilty in the death of Tyree Nichols. But they still have to deal with the federal side. I believe it's Mr. Haley that is looking at life, federal. And the other 2 officers are facing 20 years federally. And the other 2, they pled guilty. So all 5 officers will be sentenced on the federal side. We just don't know when. Y'all know I'm gonna always keep y'all updated with regards to that. But drop in the comments. Let me know, how do you feel about today's verdict? What is going through your mind right now? How are you feeling? Do you feel like it was a miscarriage of justice? Do you feel like they weren't excessively brutalizing Tyree Nichols? Drop in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling. What are your thoughts today? I can't tell y'all mine because, baby, I might get banned from Facebook if I do. And I don't want to be kicked off nowhere because y'all know I love doing this show. But again, for those that are just tuning in, tonight I am discussing the Tyree Nichols verdict. Most of y'all do know that I have been following this case for the last 2 years and 5 months since it happened. Hey, Tita. My Tita says she's disappointed. I'm very disappointed because this was absolutely a miscarriage of justice. Those 5 police officers should have been found guilty. The way y'all brutally beat Tyree, you beat him like a dog in the street. You beat him down over a traffic stop. And then y'all wonder why. And y'all keep saying, oh, well, he should have complied. He should have did. Comply or not comply does not warrant a death sentence. A traffic stop does not warrant a death sentence. So I want people to stop saying, well, had he complied, he wouldn't have. Philando Castile complied, and guess what? He was shot and killed in front of his wife and his daughter. And they used the same rhetoric every time. I felt threatened. I was in fear of my life. How do you think we feel when y'all get behind us? How do you think when when y'all stop us and pull us over? We are deathly afraid because we don't know what's going to happen. Because what may seem minor to you, they will make major to them. They will do everything to justify why they do what they do to us. And I don't want to hear that, oh, but y'all do it to each other. I don't want to hear that. Let me tell you the difference between when we do it and when they do it. When we do it, we're caught and we're held to the fullest extent of the law. When they do it, they get a slap on the wrist and they get to go home. And while they're investigating, they're still being paid. That's the difference. Some of y'all don't understand that because that's the first thing y'all want to say is, oh, you should have complied. You should have did what they told you to do. We do what they do, and guess what? They still kill us. They still kill us. Breonna Taylor, prime example, ladies and gentlemen. The Wall got more justice than Breonna Taylor. The Wall did. The Wall meant more to the police officers than Breonna Taylor's life. I'm on my soapbox now because I'm enraged. Because again, and I'm going to keep saying this, my babies, this was a complete miscarriage of justice. How dare you stand up there and say you are sworn to protect and serve? But what kind of justice are you serving? Talk to me. What kind of justice are you serving? In Ohio, and we're going to get into that story. Mr. Rodney Hinton, we're going to get into the story about his son Ryan, who was shot and killed by the Cincinnati Police Department. And they've had 6 murders by the police. And I believe they said less than a week or 2 weeks, something like that. Why? Why? Why was justice not served today on the state side for Tyree Nichols? Y'all talk to me. What are your thoughts right now? What are you feeling right now in this moment? Now that I've told you those 5 police officers that savagely beat Tyree Nichols were found not guilty on the state side. Okay? For everybody that's just now tuning in, because I see that people are coming in. On the state side, they were found not guilty. After they watched the video, how could you say that they acted well within that excessive force right. How dare you say that? How do you say that? You watch the video. They beat him. They stomped on this baby. Do you hear me? This baby was in a coma for 3 days before he passed away on January the 10th, 2023. Let that soak in for a moment. They couldn't even tell and explain to Mr. Nichols' mother what happened. The doctor from the hospital called the mother. The hospital. Not anybody on the scene. They were around joking like they were talking about football or something as Mr. Nichols sat handcuffed and was dying. The EMTs that failed to render aid, you sat before you decided to get out and come and assist. That's what you did. You treated Mr. Nichols like he was trash. And yes, I'm going to humanize him because the world and this, and again, this temperature of the climate of this world, y'all demonized him. But I am here to humanize Tyree Nichols. So he smoked a little weed. Okay, and does he have a criminal history? That didn't matter in this point, in this case. Philando Castile was an upstanding citizen and was still killed. Breonna Taylor was in her home asleep when the police came and killed her. Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old child playing in the park with a toy gun, like kids used to do, killed. Shall I go on? Because the names don't stop. It doesn't stop. Every day there's a new name added to the list. Every day. Every day there's a new name added to the list. Every day. I'm trying to contain my emotions because I have a black son. This very well could have been him. This could have been your baby that you would want me over here on this side speaking about. You would want me to humanize your baby. They humanize these school shooters. What about the young man that just decided to go on a shooting spree in a grocery store? Oh, his parents were on drugs and this and okay. There are a lot of kids that come from families whose parents may have been on drugs and they didn't turn out to be school shooters or church shooters or just decided to wake up one day and say, you know what? Let's go kill some people today. Tyree Nichols was in a 2-parent household. A family that loved and enveloped this young man with love. And this was his demise. Y'all looked at it. Y'all watched the tape. You know what? Y'all watched the video the same way that I did. And we saw Mr. Nichols handcuffed, unable to move, unable to talk, unable to still keep calling for help, while they sat around and watched and laughed and took pictures and sent them 11 times. Yes, Yes, that's how much they thought of Mr. Tyree Nichols. They thought of him as nothing. To them, he was just another nigger. I said it. I said it. They looked at Tyree Nichols as one less nigger on the street. One. Iola says, speak, baby girl. TD, you know I got you. She said, yes, they did. Hey, sus. Jules says, all facts, sir. She said, I can't believe they walked after that footage. I can't believe that someone justified that they were well within the rights of excessive force. Let that marinate, y'all. Let that marinate. That they acted within the excessive force realm is what they said. That's what they said. I wish I could go to Memphis right now. I can't even. I honestly cannot imagine what that family is feeling right now. Oh, y'all gotta give me. I need 5 seconds. I need 5, 6 seconds. Just let me. As a mother, I can only imagine what that baby is feeling right now. And she testified, the mother, the community rallied. Oh, Father God. Jules says, this is so heartbreaking. My heart goes out to his family. May God give the comfort and peace that surpasses all understanding after the murder of the son. When I tell you, I'm devastated. I just knew they were going to be found. I knew it. I just felt it. I said, oh, yeah, they're going to, yeah. When they see that video and they hear the testimony and they see the autopsy photos and read the autopsy reports and hear what the medical examiner had to say, I knew they were going to prison. I knew they were going to be held accountable on the state side because the federal has already held them accountable. So they're going to prison either way. So although they may feel like this is a victory for them, y'all are still going to prison, my love, because you have to deal with it on the federal side now. You do. But I was hoping, Father God, that you would have held them accountable on both sides of the coin. I wanted those scales balanced. I wanted those scales of justice to be balanced, not an imbalance. But that's what we got today. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a miscarriage of justice for Tyree Nichols. We did. My auntie say, as a parent of a black son, King, I'm enraged, and any mother should feel the same. They absolutely should. Because how dare you? How dare you justify savagely, brutally beating a man to death. And then you took pictures and you shared these pictures 11 times, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to me when I tell you. They took pictures of Tyree Nichols' body as he laid dying in the streets. And they were shared 11 times. Follow me. Shared 11 times. Almost as if you were trying to show off what you did. That's what you did. Like it was like you deserved an award for what you did. I will say this again. You have got to pass God on your way out of here. So to those 5 police officers that savagely and brutally beat Mr. Tyree Nichols, my love, you will stand in front of God and you will answer for that. God will make you suffer. God will make you pay. So I send my thoughts, my prayers to the Nichols family. For those that don't or have not seen the verdict, here we go.
Jury, having found that this is a unanimous verdict, the court will read the verdict as follows. In indictment 2300241, State of Tennessee versus Darius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith, if counsel would like to stand with their clients. The verdicts read as follows. Count 1, second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justice Smith, not guilty. Count 2. Aggravated assault, acting in concert. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 3. Aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 4. Aggravated kidnapping with a deadly weapon. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 5. Official misconduct, unauthorized exercise of official authority. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 6. Official misconduct, refraining from performing a duty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 7, official oppression. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarius Bean, not guilty. Count 7, we, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 7, we, the jury, find the defendant.
Mm. Let's let that breathe for just a moment. Let's let that part breathe for just a moment. Let's let that breathe. These men were found not guilty of the most serious charges. So let me say this. Let me let this one breathe again for just a moment. I just, this young man was 80 yards short of his house when these men stopped him. You surrounded him in unmarked vehicles in the middle of an intersection. Not only did you hurt Mr. Nichols, but you could have hurt other people that were coming through the intersection. Again, in this climate, we're definitely afraid of the police. Anytime we are stopped, PTSD kicks in because we've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. When does it end? When does it end? Again, these officers are still facing prison time. So it wasn't a complete a miscarriage of justice, but it was. Because the scales didn't balance out on this side of justice for Tyree Nichols. I'm going to read a little bit of information to y'all, and then I want to jump into my last story for tonight. And I'm going to do a part 2 in continuation of this next story. Because there have definitely been mixed reviews, mixed comments, mixed emotions, mixed feelings with this next story. So for these men, they had already been facing time behind bars after they were convicted on federal charges. So let me give you what it is. All right, so Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith were part of the 5 officers involved in the January 23rd incident where Nichols was fatally beaten. Although they were found guilty of witness tampering, they were acquitted of the more serious charges related to his death, specifically the violations of civil rights. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith were the focus of the state trial, while Desmond Mills Jr. and Emmett Martin III pleaded guilty, and they are awaiting sentencing. When it comes to the federal charges, the 5 officers involved in the beating were also charged, again, federally, and they have all pleaded guilty or they were found guilty on those charges. They are waiting on sentencing in the state trial that is pending, but they are also waiting on the sentencing from the federal cases, where Demetrius Haley faces a potential life sentence for excessive force and other charges. Tadarius Bean and Justin Smith face up to 20 years for witness tampering. So can we say this is a complete miscarriage? No, because they're still going to go to prison. They're still going to prison. When the sentencing comes down, y'all know I'm going to be the first one to jump up here and let y'all know. But to the family of Tyree Nichols, let me tell you something. I stand with you. I walk with you. I grieve with you. I pray that you find a little bit of solace in this. I know it's not going to bring Tyree back. You will always have that void in your heart and in your home. But I pray that God carries this family. I pray that God keeps his hands on this family. I pray that God, again, brings peace and love and comfort to the family of Tyree Nichols. Tyree Nichols, I still say your name. I will continue to humanize you. Your death was not in vain. I need to let that one breathe for just a moment. I still feel the same way I felt when the story broke. I do. I still do. The next story for tonight is the case of Mr. Ryan Hinton Jr. For those that don't know, or that, let me say not know, but that are unfamiliar, Ryan Hinton Jr. is a father in Cincinnati, Ohio, whose son, Ryan, 18-year-old Ryan Jr., Ryan Hinton, Ryan Hinton, was killed by a Cincinnati police officer on May the 1st, 2025. Just one day later, the family of Ryan Hinton was called down to the Cincinnati Police Department to view the body cam footage of his son, who, yes, was in a stolen vehicle asleep. And he was shot and killed. The way they described the way Mr. Rodney left that police station, they said he was distraught. He was erratic. They had to get family members to drive him home. Mind you, this man had just watched a video of his son being murdered. How would you feel? So the day after his son was killed, he watched the video. The family was called to Cincinnati police to watch the body cam footage. They say they left, maybe it was like 10 something in the morning. And he returned because he left his car there at the police station. Again, the state of mind that they describe Mr. Hinton to have, I can understand. Mr. Hinton leaves. He returns back to retrieve his vehicle. And Mr. Hinton accelerated and unalived another Cincinnati police officer. For the stories that have been floating around, let me bring this rumor to rest. The officer that was killed behind the wheel of the car of Mr. Rodney Hinton Jr. was not the police officer that unalived his son the day before. I've been seeing that floating around social media where they say, oh, he killed the police officer that killed his son. No, he did not. The officer that he killed was directing traffic for children. I believe in that moment, Mr. Hinton saw red and just accelerated. I do not believe Mr. Hinton set out to go and kill a police officer. I do not believe he woke up that day and left that police station and said, I'm going to go kill me a cop. I don't believe that. I believe what happened is when he was at that intersection and he saw that police officer, it took him back to him just leaving and witnessing and watching the video of them unalive his son. And I believe that sent him into a tizzy, a frenzy. So I'm not going to let you sit up here and say, oh, he did it. I believe he blacked out for a moment. I believe that was a trigger for him. My sister says, I have been following a trial of a man that murdered a cop and they murdered his son. He walked past him with his head held high. He gives 0 Fs. This man believes in eye for an eye. My teacher say, the pains in my stomach due to this verdict is 100 times worse than any labor pain I've ever experienced. Amen to that, ain't it? But Mr. Rodney Hinton, I stand with you. I understand. Because, again, in this climate, we're tired. We're tired of these police officers unaliving Black men and Black women, Black boys and Black girls unjustly. And you use the same MO every time. I felt threatened. I was in fear of my life. In the murder of Ryan Hinton, Mr. Rodney Hinton's son, I watched the video. And I watched it from every angle possible. That baby, because he was only 18 years old, did not have a gun in his hand. This young man was shot in the back. Hello. He was shot in the back. I'm not playing the video. I do advise that you watch the video at your own risk. You watch it from every angle. But that baby did not have a gun in his hand at the time that he was shot. Despite what people on social, in spite of these Facebook lawyers who said he did, he didn't. And I watched the video 12 times. Let me calm down. It is getting to a point in this world and in this climate, we're fighting back. We're tired of being shot down in the street like animals. We're tired. We're fed up. We're frustrated. We are tired of these miscarriages of justice. We are tired of these police officers getting away with murder. We're tired of these police officers saying, oh, I was in fear of my life. I felt threatened. We hear that all the time. We hear that. It's the same rhetoric every story that comes out like this. He should have stopped. He should have complied. He should have did this. He should have did that. Well, again, what about the young man that went and shot up the school in Santa Fe? It took y'all 90 minutes. And one man came in and killed him when 21 people were brutally murdered. What about in Las Vegas? I've seen stories where white men and white women have come in waving guns at police officers and they've been tased, not shot, not put in a chokehold, tased. And they still make it home to their families. But you expect us to just keep being slapped in the face and keep being spit on? We're tired. We are absolutely enraged and we're fighting back. Mr. Rodney Hinton says, eye for an eye. The way that they had all those police officers lined up in that courtroom at his bond hearing for intimidation, Mr. Rodney Hinton, my heart and my hat goes off to you, sir, because you walked with your head held high. Your chest was out and your head was up, sir. You did that. For those that are tuning in that are unfamiliar with the Rodney Hinton Jr. case, here we go. Here's a little snippet, and then we're going to continue the conversation.
Fox 19 now.
We continue to bring you the latest after a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy was killed Friday. The man accused of intentionally hitting Deputy Larry Henderson, his name is Rodney Hinton, made his first court appearance over the weekend.
Now, Hinton is the father of 18-year-old Ryan Hinton, who was shot and killed by police during a stolen vehicle investigation on Thursday.
Today, Ryan's family held a press conference alongside their lawyers talking about his death.
Brenda Ordonez breaks down the latest on the investigation.
Yeah, 3 separate investigations into this incident are ongoing. Officers, attorneys looking to see what exactly happened and if the officers' actions were justified. No timeline yet as to when we'll find those answers, but today we did get to speak to the family of Ryan Hinton. That's the suspect who was fatally shot. They're giving us more insight as to how it is that he got to be here that day.
He was supposed to be at home that night. He had no business being on a stolen car, man. He had a bed to come home to. He slept in the car. He couldn't get in the house. He called me like 6, 9 times, and I was asleep. I'm so sorry. This was never supposed to happen to you.
A cousin expressing remorse for missing the phone calls of 18-year-old Ryan Hinton, a former Don High School student who that night slept in a stolen car with 3 others. Police tracked the car to a parking lot in East Price Hill. That's when all 4 suspects ran. In 6 seconds, Ryan's life ended. He was fatally shot in the chest and arm by an officer.
What we saw was disturbing. The family was upset, as you can imagine.
The Cochran firm has launched its own investigation into the shooting that was captured on a blurry body cam.
The lens in that body camera cost 8 cents. So of course, when you have an officer running as well as someone else, it's probably going to be blurry.
What that leaves us with is we do not have a still photo that is crystal clear to show anybody with a gun in the hand. However, that being said, we do know that he exited the vehicle with a gun in his hand. The officer saw that. We do know that at one point he stumbled, he had that same gun still in his hand. It hits the ground. He gets up, still has that same gun in his hand.
Police say Hinton ran through these two dumpsters before confronting an officer on the other side. Police say when Hinton reappeared, he had a gun in a bladed position.
As they're running towards them, because of the angle, you actually have them running to where they're facing at you, but they're in a bladed position to where they're not completely exposed, they're only partially exposed.
Police Chief Teresa Thigi and FOP President Ken Kober say officers don't have to wait for someone to shoot at them for them to perceive a threat.
In this case, you have someone that is running with a firearm, running towards you, and then points it at you. You are absolutely justified in using whatever force is necessary, up to and including deadly force in this situation.
We are answering or looking for the answer through our investigation of whether or not it was proper, whether or not the policies were followed appropriately, and whether or not by law and by facts that tragic death was considered in the eyes of the law as justifiable. I can promise you, under no circumstance are the family members who were here will ever believe that it was justifiable.
This is still under investigation. No timeline yet as to when we're going to be getting those answers. We do know attorneys are still working to get body cam from all of the officers that were there that day. Of course, once we learn anything new, we're going to be bringing you the latest. For now in East Price Hill, with photojournalist Damaris Evans, Brenner Ordonez, Fox.
All right, so let me correct that. He was shot in the chest and in the hand. But again, I do advise that you go and you watch the video for yourself. From the various angles that I viewed this video, because it was sent to me. That baby was not pointing a gun at the police officer. He was not. Believe me, if he was, y'all know I would absolutely say he's accountable. I would definitely say that. But from the various angles that I witnessed on this video, that baby didn't have a gun in his hand. I don't want to run too deep in this story tonight because I definitely want to have a part 2 of this because I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of this story. I want to keep everyone updated as everything unfolds. But as of right now, Mr. Rodney Hinton Jr. has no bond. I will say this. I don't believe anything will happen to him. I believe they will heavily protect him. And that means on the inside and the outside. No way am I glorifying. Let me be precise in that. No way am I glorifying this. But as a parent, I understand. As a mother, I empathize with Mr. Hinton Jr. because after you leave from watching a video of your child being shot, what would your state of mind be leaving? I believe it has been documented that Mr. Hinton does suffer from some type of mental illness. I believe that. I believe Mr. Hinton reacted in a way that any parent would. Maybe not all, but some. I believe Mr. Hinton is now believing eye for an eye. You take mine, I take one of you. You take one of mine, I take one of yours. Again, I can definitely understand as a parent the rage that this man feels. And I think seeing that police officer, it triggered him. And it sent him into a rage, and he just accelerated. I believe that about Mr. Rodney Hinton. I want to stop right here because I want to pick this back up as more information continues to unfold. Today has definitely been a day. Today has definitely been one for the books. Today was a day of miscarriage and justice. Today was a day the scales didn't balance. But Mr. Rodney Hinton Jr. and to the family, I stand with you. I walk with you. I grieve with you. I love you. I do all of that with you. I pray that justice is served for Ryan Hinton Jr. I pray that there's no cover-ups. I pray that there's no editing or altering of videos, as we've seen it many times over. So I want to stop right here for tonight. Because again, I want to dig deeper into this case as all the information unfolds. I'm really trying to process all of this right now. I'm trying to process this. So as I go into my final thoughts and bring this show to a close, I want to say to everybody that's watching, please keep these families in your thoughts and your prayers. There are no winners in either of these situations. Tonight, we have 3 families grieving the loss of a loved one. Where do we go from here? What are the next steps? How do we recover from this? Think about that. Think about that as your Black son, your Black daughter, your Black husband, your Black wife walks out the door and gets in that car. It's sad that we have to have these conversations to tell our children how to conduct themselves if you ever encounter the police. But it just seems to me that if you comply, you die. You don't comply, you die. That's just it. There's no in between. So I leave y'all with that. Think about that tonight as you lay down. Pray over these families. Keep these families close to you because they need it. Again, there were no winners. No justice for Tyree Nichols. But I pray we get justice for Ryan Hinton and Rodney Hinton Jr. I pray that God keeps Mr. Hinton Jr. in a safe space. And I don't mean just in jail, I mean a mental. Because the most dangerous place you could be is in your thoughts. And I leave you all with that. Y'all brought your girl back out. See, y'all been waiting on me, and I'm back. Black Girl Interrupted does stream live every Tuesday and every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time. You can tap in and follow Black Girl Interrupted podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. Baby, I'm everywhere. You can catch all the episodes, catch up on previous episodes on any streaming platform. Just type in Black Girl Interrupted and you'll see me. Again, I want to pick this conversation back up as more information continues to follow in. I will definitely keep you guys updated on the federal sentencing of those 5 Memphis police officers that killed Tyree Nichols on January 7th, 2023. I love you guys. Thank you so much for loving me. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you guys for encouraging, empowering, and uplifting and continuing to pour into me as I adjust to this new life. I love you guys, and I will see y'all next week. Everybody be safe. God bless y'all. Love y'all. Holla. Peace out.